Episode number 88 of the Minding Your Business podcast is brought to you by the Binge Podcast Network. I love saying that every week. The Binge Podcast Network. I'm a co-founder along with my good business friend and partner, Dominic Lawson of Owls LLC and the Startup Life podcast. You need to get with us as we inspire, as we educate, and as we inform, and as we entertain audiences around the country as we're building great podcasters, whether new and existing. We've got great shows, Quarterly, Let's Be Real, Nothing But Buckets. Minding Your Business podcast, the Startup Life. All the way around, we've got great shows that are added. Skills and Heels will be coming soon, as we've announced. And so if you're interested in advertising with the network or being a part of the network, www.onabinge.com is where you should go. Of course, Brooks Brothers Consulting, sales, service, operations, employee engagement. Those are the 4 areas where we help your business or help even financial institutions level up. So if you're interested in that, www.brooksbrothersconsulting.com, and we're able to help you. We've got the experience to be able to do so. We've worked with over 150 small businesses and banks, even just around the country. So we're based here in Memphis, but around the country we have worked with some of the best and brightest, no matter what size your organization is. We're able to be a resource. So definitely do that. If you want to advertise here on the Minding Your Business podcast, Ron at themybpodcast.com. It'd be really cool to have your information here for our buying audience. So we'd love to be able to do that as well. Episode number 88. We've got a special guest in the building. But first,
what we do here is go back.
Right, so thank you all so much. Today is Friday, March the 29th of 2019. I am your host, Champ Ron. I'm the ultimate wingman to your success. And thank you so much for joining on today. We've got a special guest that I want to introduce. She is an author. She is a superhero. And she joins from the West Coast, from Portland, Oregon, and we thank her so much for joining and having a special guest on today on the Minding Your Business podcast. And Kedma, are you available? Are you there?
I sure am.
Yes, excellent. Kedma Ough, everybody. Thank you so much. Yes, you can hand clap for that. That's great. I see you guys that are live clapping your hands, and a lot of thumbs up here for you, Kedma. So you're getting a lot of love from our live audience. Which is awesome. That is very awesome. So, Kedma, let's get right into it because we really appreciate you taking time. I know that you're extremely busy and advocating for small business and things like that, which we all appreciate here, right, MYB? We all appreciate that. Woohoo! So, Kedma, let's get right into your background because we're all anxious to know and be educated on, what planet you come from, how did you get to Earth, and no, but
I love it.
Yeah, so how did you get here, and what brings you to this very point? I know we all have got a story, you've got yours, and so if you're willing to share with us, please do so.
Well, that's a pretty broad statement. So you want to know why I do what I do, sort of what my mission in the world is?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that would be great.
Well, if some of your audience members have watched me, they will know I wear a superhero cape, right? You've seen my cape?
Yes, I have seen your cape.
So, great. Well, capes, right? I think I have 14 of them, every different color possible.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are curious, why do I wear the cape? Because there's a fascination with this idea of superhero. We see them in the movies. Right now, Marvel's out, Wonder Woman was out, of course, all the superhero characters. And the idea that someone would be crazy enough to wear a cape when it's not Halloween and actually go to work in a cape, right? So you
Right.
come to my office, all my capes are there.
Oh,
I
wow.
don't play. Oh yeah. No, it's all serious. Yeah, I wear capes at work, not only in my keynote.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So I will be brief on this, and then we can sort of entertain more questions. You know, we're fascinated with the idea of superheroes, but if you really dig into superhero stories, they're often embedded in painful experiences, right? They're often
Right.
something happened to that superhero to morph them into who they are, to make them the hero they are. They usually don't, they don't usually wake up one day and say, hey guys, yeah, I'm a superhero. It doesn't work that way. I wish it did. So in the simplest term, if we had to imagine, if your audience had to imagine right now, I want you to picture that everybody's in a movie, right? And so if you're in a movie, it's your movie. There are different types of movies you could be playing. I was born into a horror movie. And in a horror movie, usually the victim doesn't escape.
Right.
There's usually someone that's a monster or something out to get them. I escaped, and at the age of 18, essentially became a superhero and really delved into why I am one. So just had a difficult environment, and at age 18, I found myself in actually in a parking lot, which you'll read in my book, being chased by my real villain, and unfortunately there was no superheroes behind me. I had a really sort of quick moment where I had to choose how to save myself, and I was in physical danger. And through that situation, a couple of things happened. One is I had to go into hiding for 5 years, and that was an experience in itself. I had to, obviously, I was displaced. I didn't have a place to go after that happened. And I had a group of superhero friends find me sort of a job to figure things out. I was very young at the time. I was 18. And sort of, it sort of came out. It was not planned. And the last thing is that I was attending a community college, and I wrote a letter to the college basically detailing what had happened to me. And that really changed my life forever. Essentially, after reading my story, the college had me come to meet with their financial committee and sort of deliberate my life. I said I'd lost everything, my house, my community, my identity. And the only thing I had left to live for was an opportunity for an education. During that moment, I was asked to go to the secretary's office, and I actually wrote a letter to God, which for some of you listening say, what's the big deal about that? Well, if you've ever come through a place of terror, you would know that you ask for God to show up probably every single day of your life, and if they don't show up, asking them to show up there where you have nothing left is almost impossible. And so in the letter I said that if the college would give me an opportunity, as I'm writing this letter to God, I said, then for the rest of my entire life, I would use my education to open doors for every single person I meet. And 2 hours later, I was summoned back in, and a woman stood up and said, Kedma, I'd love to shake your hand for the courage you have, and gave me a full scholarship, and that started my journey. And I've been on that journey now for 30 years.
Wow. I mean, if that's not a superhero story, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so much tragedy and some tragic things that took place that you described, Kedma, and for you to be able to, persevere through that. I mean, what was your mindset as you're going through this? I mean, are you really kind of down and out? Are you really confident, or?
Yeah, great question. There's a point in life where when everything is taken away from you, you have nothing left. In the spiritual world, you're literally naked. You have two choices. You either die or you fight with the last breath you have. And at that point, I literally was putting my life on the table with God. It was like a moment in time. It was like if God looked like George Burns, I was like, George Burns, it's over. Okay, babe? It is over. He's taking everything away. You either show up or I'm walking out of the movie.
Right.
And for me, he showed up.
Yeah. Well, and that's incredible, and you're getting a lot of people are amening to that here with our live audience, and so you're going through this, and you get started. So as you're kind of turning things around, Kedma, how was those early days of kind of turning it around? Is it what you expected? Did it take still a little bit of time to ramp up, or?
Great question. Yeah, so how my journey continued. I did my undergrad, finished at that college, did my graduate work, ended up in Arizona, thinking I was some big shot because I had, my degree behind me, as if just because having a degree means I was going to get a job, right?
Right.
Well, it didn't really work out, and I ended up being unemployed, going through kind of a regional reemployment experience where I wanted to start my first business. At the time, I was in Tucson, and I had this fascination with bed and breakfast. And I also had a fascination with getting massages. I like to spoil myself. And so I thought, why can't bed and breakfast compete with the spa resorts? If you go to Tucson or Arizona, you've got Mirabelle, you've got Canyon Ranch, you've got Los Montana, and the bed and breakfast couldn't really compete. So I thought, okay, why don't I just start a bed and breakfast that focuses on spa? Because there's an entire group of people who say, I like that cozy feeling, but I don't want to give up the spoiled spa experience. And it was my first taste of getting a business plan done, going to my bank, and my bank following me through the standard procedures, like, do you have a job? No, I'm unemployed. Do you have a house? No, I have an apartment. Do you have any money? No, that's why I'm here. You're the bank, okay? And that experience really taught me a lot because the lender, the loan officer said, listen, I'm going to just be honest with you. You need to just go get a job and not start this business, which pissed me off.
Of course.
The thing people will know about me is don't tell me I can't do something. If you tell me I can't do something, oh my God, you have just lit fire under me. I will do it just to prove you wrong.
Exactly.
And so I did. And so what I did was I said to myself, well, do I really need to have my own bed and breakfast? What do I really want? Well, I really just wanted people to have this spa experience at a bed and breakfast. And so within literally 6 weeks, I was able to get into business because what I did was I met with the top bed and breakfast in Arizona, and I said, you need me and I need you. You need me because I can bring an entire team of spa professionals to support your clients. And I need you because I don't have a bed and breakfast and I don't have a location. And that's how my business began.
And so it's interesting because John in Austin, Texas said he likes to soil himself too, but it's usually because he doesn't make it to the bathroom on time. So no, that's good, John. Thank you so much. So Kedma, your business begins with bed and breakfast, and I love that you were as confident as you were to be able to approach them and the value that you brought. And you were it sounds like you were just very forthcoming and just said, okay, listen, people, like you said, I mean, here's the deal. Here's what I bring and here's what you bring and let's marry this together. And I share that with, for a reason because, with MYB Nation here, I always tell them that, you got to think of those creative things. You have a value. And you've got to be willing, one, you got to vet that value. It's got to be true. But then, two, you've got to be just that confident. And business owners and entrepreneurs are just that crazy, right? We're just that crazy to go do that. And that's different than some of the other populations. So, our guest today, Kedma Ough. So, yeah, go ahead.
Right. Ron, one thing I want to clarify. At that moment, when I was talking to those bed and breakfasts, I did not have confidence, believe it or not. I can tell you from this kind of perspective, I did not have confidence. This is so crazy, but I'm going to tell you what happened. I was pissed at the loan officer.
Wow.
And I was so mad at him. But that is what fueled me. Now, is that right? Is that wrong? I don't know. It doesn't matter. What matters was he was trying to prove that I wasn't good enough. And I was trying to prove I was. And that was big enough, more powerful than anything that in terms of my confidence. It was like it surpassed it in a way.
Sure.
To say, I'm going to, and so I think that one of the things I've learned about my life is where is my hot button? Where do I get my drive? And I've learned that if someone challenges me and says, you're not good enough, that's my hot button.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. Yeah, awesome. And so, I think that's, you mentioned that story, and I've said this about business owners and entrepreneurs, Kedma, is, they do come sometimes from tragedy. I mean, I know myself with my own story, and many stories are, they're in the job market, you get let go for whatever reason, whether it's your fault, their fault, both faults, whoever it is, and you kind of have this vigilante type mentality that you're going to go and you're going to rid the world, of evil one EIN number at a time, right? And so, it's always interesting to hear, those different stories, and you use the fuel of a loan officer. And again, what's funny about this is, my background's in banking. So I've been, once upon a time, I've been that loan officer. So I was that guy. Now MYB, I wasn't the guy that pissed her off. Now I want you guys, so don't jump on me. They start jumping on me, Kedma. I wasn't that guy, but I've been that guy.
Right.
So you start the bed and breakfast, and then so how was that experience? And I guess why compare that to just going to work for one? So some people would just say, let me save the house so I can just go work for a bed and breakfast somewhere and make $35,000 a year doing blah blah blah. What kept you on that path once you were able to kind of collaborate with them?
Yeah, I think that, I always look at entrepreneurship as a level of risk we're willing to take. Everybody has a different comfort level for risk. So here's my example. If you came to me tomorrow, Ron, and said, I got this new invention where I can, set up this parachute where you can sort of jump out of an experience, and then I say to you, okay, what, have you tested it, and is there an error or failure? And you go, well, 60% of the time, the parachute doesn't open.
Oh, wow.
I'd probably say, let me try it. Because I got 40% chance I'll make it, right?
Sure.
Because my risk is at a higher level. So when I was looking at the bed and breakfast, it's not that I don't like working for others, because I do work well in an employer situation, but it never gives me the breadth of experience that being an entrepreneur does, where I'm engaged with the sales piece, the finance piece, the operation piece, the customer service piece. Every facet of business I could learn really, really quickly as an entrepreneur. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
Right?
Yep, I know exactly what you mean. Yep.
Yeah, and I had to actually leave that. I'll tell you why. Because I was dealing with people, and I had a case happen where someone had fibromyalgia, and they were being treated by one of my massage therapists, and they called me up and said that they got hurt by this person.
Oh, wow.
And let me tell you, that freaks me out.
Yeah.
So I remember at the time thinking, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? I don't want a lawsuit. And I remember sending them flowers, going to meet with the clients, and everything worked out. But I learned really quickly after that, I don't know if I want to be in a business that focuses on health because of the liability involved. For me personally, not for other people. For me personally.
Sure.
It was too stressful for me.
Okay. So then, Kedma, then you transition from that. So then what's next? Obviously, you come to that conclusion, which is very real and very respected.
Sure.
So, so then what's next? What happens to get you kind of to where you are today, where, you're writing for major publications, you're a sought after speaker, around the country. So what got you there?
Yep. two things. One is, after that, I got hired on to be the director for the Women's Business Center, which is a direct grant program through the Small Business Administration. It's in every single state, and its job is to support women with business. And the second thing that happened is I had to leave, a relationship, and I had to file bankruptcy.
Okay.
That changed my life once again. So the reason I wrote the book that's coming out was because I sort of reverse engineered the finance. So I'm going to take you back to year 2000.
Okay.
I'm literally on the steps of the bankruptcy court in Arizona, crying my eyes out because I just filed bankruptcy, thinking to myself, how did this happen to me again? Here I am, I have my degree, I'm pretty financially astute, and I find myself in this predicament. And I remember just feeling like I have to start all over again, and where do I begin? And I left that, went back to my apartment, and about 2 weeks later, I got an envelope from Capital One credit card.
Okay.
And I will never forget that moment. So I open up the envelope. I'm like, what is this? Why are they sending me something? Is this, I didn't know what it was. And it was a credit card for $200. Now, you have to understand, though, in my mind, it looked like it was $200,000 because I literally started jumping up and down in the apartment. And I'm screaming, oh, my God, Capital One believes in me. I'm going to make it. And I'm like, to this day, they don't even know I exist, but it didn't matter.
Right.
It matters that in my mind, someone at Capital One believes in me, and I was back in the game. It didn't matter, it was $200, but the way I think about it, when you play Monopoly, you get $200, you're in the game.
Right. There you go.
You play the game.
Exactly.
There you go. So then I said to myself, I had an aha moment, and I said, what if I go on a journey to uncover every funding and resource available to people like me, good people, kind people that just had a bad situation happen. Maybe they're bankrupt, maybe they have no credit, maybe they have no collateral, whatever. What if I go on that journey? And that took me on a 15-year journey to literally uncover every funding available, which is how I developed the variables, which is what landed me my book deal with McGraw-Hill, because I came from the perspective of, if I can serve people who have nothing and get them money, then I can serve people who have plenty of collateral, plenty of assets, and plenty of cash at their disposal.
Excellent. And so, Kedma, let me go here with you because, and you've mentioned the book, Target Funding, and MYB, the link will be in the show notes for you to be able to pre-order that book. So I encourage you, as many of you as possible, when you're listening to the show, go into the show notes, click on the link, and go ahead and pre-order your copy. You don't want to miss it. So MYB, make sure you go and do that, okay? So Kedma, tell us about the book, what I guess the audience can expect, and then I've got some follow-up questions to that, but tell us what we can expect.
This is definitely a technical book, but it's a technical book that's easy to follow. It literally is a roadmap to teach you how to find money and resources that is really targeted on variables. So, for example, if there are people right now listening that identify as a woman, there's an entire chapter for how to get funding as a woman-owned business. There's an entire chapter if you fall into a category as a minority. There's an entire chapter if you identify as a diversity group, like perhaps you have a disability, perhaps you are part of the LGBTQ community. We even have a section if you affiliate with a certain religion. We have funding tied to Judaism, to Muslim, to Christianity. And then we have the other pieces. We have economics funding. We have industry funding. We have funding for inventors. What I literally do is not only teach you how to find funds, we have curated over 100 real, valid funding sources that I would go to bat and say that 90% or more of your audience doesn't even know about. Because we don't think that way. We think friends, family, credit cards, maybe crowdfunding, and loans. And really, that is, I mean, I don't even see, we have a bonus chapter for crowdfunding, but not even in the book. So that's a bonus chapter, is a free chapter we offer for anyone who wants the book. But that doesn't even come into play. We basically changed the landscape and introduced funding that most people don't even know exists.
Yeah, and there are a lot of people that are, there's some questions that are coming up and things like that here from our live audience,
yeah.
Kedma. So let's go here then. For those that have obstacles, right? Now, I share with you as a former banker, one of the reasons that got me out of it was I felt like I was only providing conveniences for those that had them already, and I was saying no to really good people, right? And so, and people that were deserving. And I felt like I was just like the bank. I was only giving umbrellas to people when it was sunny and 90 degrees outside, right? And so, there are a lot of people that have had challenges, and you mentioned having to do bankruptcy. There are a lot of people, and Memphis is kind of a hotbed for that. And so, there are a lot of people who've had challenges with credit. They've got challenges with income. They've got challenges with debt to income and all the different reasons that the bank finds, looks to say no to people. So do those folks have an opportunity to be able to get funding for their dreams?
Absolutely. I welcome them so much. Yeah. I'll give you an example, a real life example related to my own life. In 2008, I had a chance to purchase my own office, commercial office. It is a 2,000 square foot office valued at about $800,000. And at the time, I had just still been coming out of sort of that bankruptcy experience, making sure my credit was in place. And I thought to myself, in a traditional format, it would never have worked. But the uniqueness was this was a special program that most people didn't know about. You had to apply. They did not require you to have strong credit. They did not require you to have collateral to back it up. They did not require 20% down. They only required 6% down. And you did have to show that you were making sales, and you had to show you were making a difference in the community. I own that piece of property right now, and I put down 6% in 2008, and for the last 10 years, my interest has been fixed at 0.04%.
What in the world? What did you say?
I said 0.04. That's less than 0.5%. I'm happy to send you a copy of just to you, so you can fact check me. I'll send you a copy of my statement. But I pay fixed 0.04%.
Kedma, now you know that just made me, I'm bald, right? And that made my hair stand up. Okay. 0.4% interest rate?
Not 0.4, 0.04.
0.04, I'm sorry. Wow.
Okay? So it's not that the money and resources aren't there. It's that you have to have a navigator. Most people are using Google as their navigator or trying to figure out one fund. It's like they see a pizza pie and they're like, I'm going to just go for one. That whole pie is going to be the lender. I look at a pizza pie with 12 slices. Maybe a slice is a lender, maybe not. Maybe it's economic development, maybe not. I'm not giving the whole pie to the lender. And here's just the way I want you to think about it, because you're a financial guy, Ron.
Right.
If you went tomorrow and said to your financial planner who's managing your funds, hey, you know what? I got over here, I got like maybe $50,000. You do me a favor and just put it on this one thing. I don't want you to diversify. Just one thing. They think you're nuts.
Of course.
But hey, what are you talking about? Of course you have to diversify your funds. And yet nobody diversifies their target funding strategy. And so that's what I do. And I find money that's available to the situation. So if someone was in Memphis and they had filed bankruptcy, so what? So maybe they don't get a traditional lender, but that doesn't mean they're not open to other options. I have to work with them. What industry are they in? Do they have a social focus? I'd have to learn more, but I want you to know that just because you filed bankruptcy doesn't mean you're out of the game.
Yeah, and a lot of people, they're like that. And I come across people like that all the time. They say, well, I just went through a nasty divorce. I just filed bankruptcy. I had family members transition life. I've, the kids are too young. I got to wait for the kids to grow up. I don't make enough money. I mean, all kinds of things. Or they just have liquidity crunches. Where they're having to, borrow from one hand to put it in the other. And so they feel deflated, but they have great ideas, and maybe their sales or they're just getting started, but, they're doing everything that they can. They're doing the right things. And, I've always wanted to help those people. And it just sounds like, one of your superpowers is helping these people.
You nailed it. And so there's two things in play. One is the emotional feeling that is associated with being shut down a lot, right? I mean, over and over again, you're trying to do the right thing, and nobody's opened doors for you. And the other is the reality of, can you work with someone who can identify funds and resources that match your current situation? And so, I want to make sure we honor and separate, because I disclose this all the time. I'm kind of a terrible therapist, because I give people 5 minutes to moan, and then I'm like, are we done? Let's get to work. Because I don't do well in that environment. Where I do well is, let me know what's going on. Let me see what's possible. And you do need a superhero in that place, because you're trying to champion for situations that are not ideal. Look, I love all my lenders, but my lenders only want to talk to me when I'm ready for their portfolio, right?
Right.
When I have my assets, all of a sudden they're like, oh, Kedma, can you come and bank with us? No. You weren't there when I needed you.
Exactly. No, very
Why should
true.
I show up now?
Exactly.
So look, and it's not the lender's fault, right? Most banking institutions, they're highly regulated. They have shareholders they have to follow. And so there are, reasons why they can't just give away, their piggy bank.
Right.
But having said that, I also want to make sure that there's not a dead end anymore, because there isn't a dead end. I see it all the time, and I've helped thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of entrepreneurs in that same situation, Ron. I don't have anybody show up at my door, knock on my door and say, hey, Kedma, I just want you to know, got $1 million to play with. Got a year to work it out.
Right.
Let's see what we got. Nobody's yet done that in 20 years, okay?
Right.
Usually they come in and say, my life is falling apart. I've got to figure out how to hustle, and I need help. And here's where I'm at.
Wow. That is completely awesome. That's completely awesome. And there's just so much need out here. Do you find yourself overwhelmed with just the amount of need that's just out there, and the amount of miseducation and, things and you've got kind of a tale of two stories now, because, Kedma, you've got people that are still a little miffed about 2008 and 2009, right? Whether that's institutions or just people in business. And now you're starting to get a little bit of sense in the marketplace of people being a little bit somewhat pessimistic about what's to come, right? And how fintech and how automation and how changes to salary and wages and things like that are going to affect business, kind of overall. And so, are you seeing some of that? And is that something that you plan to help people with too? As the market adjusts to some certain things, and it sounds like you're well positioned to be a great resource.
Sure. So two things I want to respond to. One is, we're in the process of developing a funding report platform. So if someone is reading the book and really wants to do it on their own, they can, or they'll have an opportunity to go through the funding platform, key in their variables, and literally get a 10 or 12-page personalized funding roadmap for their business. So I'm trying to solve it, so I am not going to be sort of the cog in the wheel. The second thing I would tell you to answer that question is, in the worst of our recession, okay, companies were making money. All
True.
right? The truth is that we cannot deny that, we can look at any situation, any year, in any recession. Now, there's certain industries that were hurt more than others, but we can't make a blanket statement and say, well, because of the recession, everybody lost. In fact, there are some financial thought leaders who always say, in the worst of the recession is where you make the most money.
Yeah, exactly. And I can speak personally to that from me, even in real estate. I did a lot of term deals, lease purchase type things, and I'm doing now. And I'll speak to you offline some more about that because I want to get your opinion on something specific. But I made great money during those times.
Exactly. So I would respond back with this. 3 things that I think about as an entrepreneur myself, and I would share this with your audience. 1, are you staying innovative? Are you staying in a place where you're constantly looking at how to improve, constantly bringing a uniqueness to your company? Are you staying innovative? And people say, well, I don't know what innovation is. It's simple as, are you using your imagination to think out of the box? Number 1. Number 2, are you staying flexible? Because if you're not staying flexible, when that tidal wave comes, you may drown.
Yeah, exactly.
But if that tidal wave comes and you're in that tugboat, because like right now, I always imagine I'm in this tugboat and I'm like, okay, here comes the tidal wave. All right, can I swim it? Can I move it? Can I move the tugboat? Can I bring someone up? What do I have to take? And sometimes it's better that I'm smaller because then I can move and be flexible with what's coming in front of me.
Exactly.
Right? So am I innovative? Am I flexible? And do I have a good attitude? Listen, the reality is, Ron, your character is defined when things are going in the worst possible way. When you can come to me and still smile and your entire house is falling apart, that tells me more about your character than when everything has been given to you. So is your character staying in place regardless of what's happening outside? Who you are inside, your foundation, your attitude, whether we realize it or not, will play a role in how your life plays out. And the simplest term, on, you walk into an event. Have you ever walked into a networking event where you're like, man, I just don't like this energy? I don't know, I can't explain why.
Absolutely.
But it just, okay. Have you ever walked, okay, when was it? So I've been to Disney. Have you ever walked into Disneyland and felt like that?
No, not at all.
Oh my God. Right. So I always live in Disneyland, whether someone is after me or whether the world is giving me everything. It's my character.
Yeah, Kedma, that's such a great message in terms of mindset and in terms of attitude and approach. So you can be, people, we all use the terms of glass half full versus glass half empty and things like that. Those are all, kind of overused. But you just kind of described it in a very inspirational tone that, it comes down to our mindset, is how we look at it. So even when you go through challenging times, you can look at it one way. You can kind of be the Eeyore of it, or you can look at it, hey, this presents me an opportunity to be able to tell my story and to be able to overcome, and which is a big part of entrepreneurship or kind of any part of life, but certainly as a business owner. I mean, I think that's ultra critical.
So, Ron, I'm going to ask your audience to think of it this way. I want to have them imagine that they are watching their own movie. Now, most people watching their own movie are actually in the audience. They're eating popcorn. They want to know why their movie isn't going well. Okay? So, you got a couple of movies you could play out. You could be in a horror film, which you don't want. So, I started to watch horror films, a superhero. I had an episode of a romance thriller. The romance was great. The thriller wasn't. I moved into drama when I filed bankruptcy, and now I'm in a Disney movie. I don't do sci-fi, and I don't do country western. So I would ask your audience, what movie do they want to play? And so here's the secret to changing your movie. If you're playing in your own movie, you don't like it, there's only a couple things you can do. 1, you can change the actor or actors in the scene. You could say, I don't want that actor anymore. I don't want that actress anymore in that scene. You can remove that person or person. Okay? 2, you can bring in props. In every film, there's prop masters. The prop master's job is to bring in props or take away props. You can bring in a prop. You can bring in a meditation prop. You can take out something. 3, you can change the location. You could say, you know what, I don't like the location. So like in my horror film, I had to change the location. I had to move the environment. And 4, you can change the message and the emotion of that scene. Is it dramatic? Is it happy? Is it exciting? But I want everybody to know that you're playing your own movie.
Right.
There's nobody else is playing it, okay? You just get to decide which movie you want to play into. You know, and I am so mindful of that, which is why I've got my Disney movie. And if you come in and I don't like what's working, I'm like, okay, I got to decide whether I want to keep you or not.
Exactly.
Or change the scene.
No, exactly. And that's such a great analogy, I think, for business owners. I've never heard that before, and I don't think a lot of our audience has heard that before, quite frankly, Kedma. But I think that's a great analogy in terms of using, the movies. I often say that, life is, a lot like a hotel stay. A hotel stay is fairly temporary, but what you get out of that is what you do while you're there. You're going to check in, you're going to check out, but what happens while you're there? And so, to use that analogy, I'm going to give you credit on that one when I use it, because that's a really good analogy. So, Kedma Ough is our guest today. The book is Target Funding. Minding Your Business. Our live audience is going berserk. For those of you that are listening to the recorded podcast, I'm sure that you're jumping up and down right now and you're ready to go tackle the world, and you're discovering that you've got heat vision and you can fly and you've got super strength, like Kedma. But I want you to, really take into what she's saying, right? And how are you going to apply this to your life? I don't want you to just get excited, but and have just a high. This isn't 5-hour energy, right? This is an opportunity for you to really take in, share it with your faction when you guys are having your meetings and things like that. Replay this and keep in mind, kind of what you're taking in and the mindset that it takes to be successful. And that's what Kedma's sharing with you today. So Kedma, what are some, you've been phenomenal today. I mean, it's without question. What are some, kind of takeaways, maybe a few best practices, for those that are, again, they're trying to figure it out, right? What's just 2 or 3 best practices that you just share with anybody, no matter where they are in their walk, whether they, like you say, they've got $1 million and they're trying to figure out what the heck do I do with all this cash?
Yep.
Or, I looked at my bank account today and I was negative $200 and I don't get paid again until next Friday. And what am I going to do, right? So you've got all those extremes, right? What would you say to those folks?
Okay, first I would say a couple of things. Number one, there's this statement that goes out. I'm sure you've heard it and your audience has heard it. The statement that you are the 5 people you surround yourself with. Have you heard that before?
I have.
Okay, I think it's BS, and I'm going to explain why financially. Let's suppose I am the 5 people I surround myself with. Let's just entertain that. And you happen to be one of those 5, Ron. If you die tomorrow, I just lost 20% of my tribe. That doesn't work well for me. So what I would rather people think about is you are the 5 tribes you surround yourself with. So think about who that tribe is, because those tribes can take you to a new level. So I am part of the National Speakers Association tribe. I'm part of the SBDC tribe. I'm part of the finance tribe. So number one, I want you to surround yourself as an action item in the next 7 days. I want you to write down the 5 tribes you want to align with. If you don't know, just write down a bunch and start doing research. Number 2, I want you to start hyper-focused support. Hyper-focused support is when you are really crystal clear on what you need, where your challenges are, what you need, and you're going to find that one person or that one team who can deliver on that aspect really, really well. So if we take something as basic as social media, right? Everybody wants to be and understand social media. I work, for example, with an Instagram expert. That's all he does. Right? I just engaged with him. Why? Not because he just does social media, but because he knows Instagram like the back of his hand, and that's what he does day in, day out. So I surround myself with hyper-focused experts in whatever I'm doing. And if I need that expert and I don't have it, I reach out to my community to find them. I needed someone who was an expert in audio narration for my book. I found that person. I just went to my tribe and said, who do I need to speak to that has that expertise? And number 3, I want everybody to imagine that we're all driving on a highway, and we're all driving to the same destination, except we have to decide how many detours do we want, or whether we want to go in the fast lane. If you decide to do it on your own, I will promise you, you will have more detours than you can imagine. If you decide to align with other drivers who've been there, you're probably going to drive faster and have less detours. So just because we live as an entrepreneur sort of in this space of it, sometimes we have to do business kind of in an alone experience, we don't have to surround ourselves by ourselves. We can surround ourselves with people who are going to get us to where we want to be quicker, cheaper, and more efficiently.
Absolutely. And gears are just turning, I think, all over. I think everybody that's listening to you, Kedma, has gears turning. I think some folks may even be teary-eyed. I think you've really laid out a nice foundation, a nice nugget for people to follow. As they're rounding out the first quarter of the year, they're looking towards second quarter, and maybe this quarter didn't go so well. Maybe it went phenomenal. But I think that's something for all of us to take. And there's a lot of nuggets in that I'm taking personally, even for myself. So thank you so much for that, Kedma. I really appreciate that. And, in the show notes, everybody, you'll be able to see how you can connect with Kedma and social media and her YouTube, her website, and things like that. Go and check her out. What she's saying, and I've had the opportunity to do that all this week, and what she's saying is no different than what she does. So it's legit, it's authentic. Okay? So you haven't heard anything. There's no acting here, although she talked about movies. She's not acting here. This was all legit, and I've seen this throughout her social media and whatnot. So Kedma Ough is our guest today. Make sure that you go ahead and get your copy. It's on pre-order, target funding. I'm going to do so as well from a leadership standpoint, but I want you to do that. If you do, I want you to take a picture and email it to me, Ron at themybpodcast.com. I'd like to share those with Kedma. If you do your order and you get your book and that sort of thing, I'd like for you to share it on social media as well. And if you happen to connect with Kedma, tag her in your post when you have your book. And let's do that, and let's be supportive, okay? Kedma, listen, thank you so much. You are an absolute sweetheart for taking time to be here on the Minding Your Business podcast. I know there's time is very valuable. There's a lot of things you could have been doing. And we just thank you so much for joining. And listen, you're not a stranger. So it's kind of like I do at my house when I have people over. You're only a guest once. Right? And then the next time you come, if you want something to drink, you know where the refrigerator is, you know where the pantry is. So same here. So you're no longer a guest. You're a friend of the podcast. And anytime you'd like to come on, or we'll certainly reach out to you. We would love to have you come back on and update us on what you've got going on, or, things that we should be aware of. We love to be able to have you do that.
Yeah, and Ron, before we close, I want to throw out a thought to you and to your audience.
Sure.
If people send you questions, and there's enough questions for another podcast, we can just work through all the questions to support them. Because I want to be of value to them.
Yep, absolutely. And there's a couple people that are here in Memphis that are leading the charge for minority and women business edification and funding and things like that. Matter of fact, one is a really good friend of mine, and she heads up the Office of Business Diversity here. And I love to be able to connect the two of you, because you operate the same wavelength. And you have exactly paralleled missions, and there may be opportunity for you even here in Memphis, Kedma, to kind of sink your teeth in and help some folks here and gain some value on your end as well, bi-directionally. So I want to make that introduction in a warm fashion. So I'll do that here over the next several days. But thank you for that last message, and again, thank you for your time, Kedma. It's very valuable.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, and we'll talk soon, Kedma.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye. So that was Kedma Ough, everybody. And again, I want to stress the fact we have phenomenal guests that have joined, as you know, whether it's all the way from Brittany Thornton to Shay Brown to Reginald Clark, Danielle Reed. Here we just had Kedma. We had my great soror here a few weeks ago, telling her great story with Crystal DeBerry, and all along the line, Chris Eagleston. I'm just going back, Dominic Lawson, as you've heard from. So we've had phenomenal guests just over the years here on the Minding Your Business podcast, and that's what we want to do. We want to bring you great value in terms of the information. And listen, it's best practice information. There's nothing academic about what we do here. Zach Beach has been on, Scott Reed, Rochelle Smith, Roxanne Little. We can go on and on and on in terms of guests that have brought you great value, and just add Kedma to that list. Okay? So again, thank you all so much. Let's get into Ron's rundown. Okay, so for Ron's rundown, I want to get into, and you heard Kedma say some of this, I want to get into mindset. So this week I had a challenge with my own personal mindset. I was feeling down, and not depressed or anything like that, but just down. I had great things going, and it wasn't down that things weren't going well. I had a concern and a little bit of fear grip me in terms of what's next, and am I going to be good enough for what's next? And I was overanalyzing it. I had some analysis paralysis, as you might say, where you're overanalyzing things, and it clouds your thinking. And I got a real good night of sleep last night, good rest, and I had to kind of get out of that little bit of funk that just hit me. And sometimes you have long and drawn out funks and situations, and sometimes they just kind of hit you in spurts, right? And this one hit me in a spurt. But it hit me kind of hard yesterday. I was coming from, my daughters had soccer practice and things like that, and I kind of hit this little rut where I wasn't really sure, like, man, is this, what's going to happen if this, and what's going to happen if that, and this could actually work, but then it creates this other option, this other potential obstacle, and things like that. And I'm here to tell you today that recognize when you go into those little funks. It's the little cloud that comes over your head. It's not this big thunderstorm that always hits, and we hear about those all the time, but this was just a cloud that hit over me, right? And so I want you to, picture this cloud kind of hanging over. It's like the Peanut cartoons, right, with Charlie Brown and all that, where the cloud just kind of, got the one character where he just perpetually has a cloud over his head. I wasn't quite like that, but this was a short-term storm that kind of came, and it could have easily have broken me, and you heard Kedma say this, I had to check my own mindset, right? And I had to stop over analyzing everything. Sometimes you just have to have the belief in yourself and the belief in what you're doing to just keep going, right? Just keep going. You're making the right moves. Don't look for justification and everything. There's no signs all the time and all that. Sometimes you've just got to get it and go. I've talked about this when I played basketball. Sometimes you get the ball and you come up the court and you kind of survey the court and let things develop. Other times you got to get the ball and go, right? This was a situation where I just need to get the ball and go, right? You've already done the analysis, right? You've already put the work in. You're continuing to put the work in. Yes, there's some people that are not going to call you back. They're not going to return your email. They're not going to return your message. They're not going to tag you in the post, or you tag them. They may not respond. They may tag you and stuff, but then you tag them, then it's a problem. It doesn't matter, right? The algorithms change in social media. One day people see everything, the next day they don't. Don't let that discourage you. Don't let those things form this little cloud over your mind. You know what I mean? And so I had to check my mindset, and I recommend to you as a best practice, check your mindset. Get around, like Kedma said, the right kind of people, the right tribes and things like that around you, because they can help you do that as well and help you see yourself outside yourself. And I was able to do that with a few people, man, that I really appreciate, that are willing to check and help me check my mindset. Okay? And so I want you to do that, and that's part of the rundown today is, if you're listening to this podcast, go back and check yourself. If you didn't have the best day, you didn't have the best week, you're not having necessarily the best month, maybe your year hasn't gotten off to the start that you would have liked. All right? Check your mindset and let's go. All right? You are good enough, okay? You've done the things that you need to do, and circumstances come. The negative ones, they won't last always. The great ones won't last always. But like Kedma said, be flexible, have a great attitude, and be nimble. Right? And so it's glass half full all the time here with MYB. And all of you have genius level talent. And it's going to be about how you position that, and you position it in the right way, and you surround yourself with the right people and the right infrastructure. So listen, thank y'all so much. This has been episode 88 of the Minding Your Business podcast. I hope that you extract something from this that you can take into your everyday life. I'd love to connect with you. I'm at Champ Ron on all the social media. Email me, Ron at themybpodcast.com. You can connect with the podcast on social media, as well as www.themybpodcast.com. Thank you again to Kedma Ough, business strategist, business funder, edifier of small business, supporter of women and minority business. You need to connect with her. Again, it's in the show notes. Thank you to everybody that's here on Facebook Live Watch Party. Those are on Spreaker.com. We're going to come to you again on episode 89 with just more information. We're going to have a special episode that's going to come out on this week that you don't want to miss, with some characters and two gentlemen who started a show on YouTube that's gone completely viral back in 2016. You do not want to miss that special episode, so make sure you're locked in. You're getting the notifications. That means you subscribe to the podcast on all the various platforms: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube. Everywhere that you get Google Podcasts, everywhere that you get your podcast, make sure you subscribe and make sure you check out the website. My name is Champ Ron. I'm the host, the ultimate ring man to your success. If I can be a resource to any of you, make sure that you communicate with me. Entrepreneurship, real estate, trending news. There's no business like minding your own. Be great for yourself. Be great for your community. Be great for your family, and let's make this place much better, one day, one opportunity at a time. Be great.